We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. Let's go. We gonna be all right. Welcome to the show. Here we have Sabby and Jaybe. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? My name is Jamie Foxx, James Fauntleroy. So good to see you. Mr. Fauntleroy, if you're nasty, I have my co-host here, Miss Sabby Sabs. What's going on, Sabs?
What's going on, Jaybe? This is going to be an interesting discussion because I have read the allegations. So this should be very, very interesting.
Yeah, so this is gonna be an interesting one. So just to let you guys know, the Sabby and Jaybe show is every single Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can go ahead and see us there. Also, subscribe to Revolutionary Blackout Network's Substack if you guys want to get put on our email list, so you guys are aware of whenever we upload clips, put lives up. So just let you guys know there. Also, a shout out and thank you to all the patrons on Patreon. For without you guys, we would not even have this channel. So thank you so very much. And thank you, all of you, for even subscribing. You guys have literally made us the largest left Black platform in the United States, at least. So thank you so very much for that. Just to let you guys know, we also do fundraising for our graphics designer, Erin. She does our clips as well as our graphics. So if you guys have not, you guys can donate to that by going to Venmo at Revolutionary Blackout or Cash App $ Mutual Aid Forever. Thank you so very much for that. Now, I would like to get in and say hello to all the people. It's going to be a very quick hello because we have a hard stop, okay? But just wanted to talk to you guys. First off, we have Kid Wee coming in and saying, stick a fork in him. Worked with this cat many years ago during his Uptown Records days. No bueno.
I'm telling you, it is not good. And this just confirms, I know we'll get into it, but I feel like this confirms some of the rumors that I had heard about, back then he was Puff Daddy. But when I lived in New York, there were a lot of rumors that I heard about Diddy during that time. So I don't know, man. Everything's coming to light.
Look, Sabs, I'm gonna tell you right now, when he said can't stop, won't stop, I think he meant that. So all right, let's go. Let's continue to the next one. The next one says Killer Grigors comes in. He says, damn, just a black bar from the poll again. I can no longer see poll sucks. Oh man, what?
Yeah, the polls, I don't know what's been going on. Sometimes the polls aren't working right, where it just shows like a black bar, like when people go to select the option. Yeah, it doesn't happen to everybody though. So I don't know what that's about. Could just be an app issue.
That might be what it is, because I was having trouble with the Substack earlier. Some apps have and websites have issues. But thank you so very much for that, Killer Grigors. We have Serena coming in saying, greetings, comrades. I don't know anything about Diddy, so this is going to be a wild ride. Also, Happy Kissinger is spinning like a rotisserie chicken in hell.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Satan saying, he's finger looking good. Anyway, let's continue on to Denise says, hi, Zoya. giving Zoya a shout out. We have John H giving Serena a shout out. Good to see you. Bryce Smith coming in saying Sabby and Jaybe or Jaybe and Sabby. Good to see you. Casey coming in saying, hi, guys. So good to see you in here. Rick Solis says, hey, y'all. We have Cicely saying, hey, friends. Oh, my goodness. We have so many in here. Good to see all of you. Smoke a Guitar comes in and says, yo, CBC voter coming in. All right, Mr. Panquake or Mrs. Panquake or just person Panquake, whatever you like to say it. Dwayne Vogel coming in. All right, good to see you in his house. And then we have one more coming in. We got Bad Cookies. Bad Cookies is really just a good cookies, but they say bad because if you ain't bad, you ain't nothing. It says, I selected not sure on your poll. Don't know anything about what's going on with Diddy. All right, so how do we have that? Let's get into this subject because I think this is going to be very interesting. What are we talking about today? If you guys haven't seen the thumbnail, you ain't seen nothing yet. So guess what? More accusers. Why do we have Diddy and Cassie and Jamie Foxx and an unknown woman? Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. All right. So we're going to start off with Jamie Foxx because that's going to be quick. And then we can get into the meat of it, which is Diddy. Okay. So let me go to this article here because and I'm going to start off at the beginning of this article because this is big, unfortunately, for Jamie Foxx. And all right, so I'm going to show you guys the title of this is Jamie Foxx, Axl Rose, Sean Combs among VIPs named in sex abuse suits before New York law expired. So it says New York Adult Survivors Act allows survivors to file claims after statute of limitations expired. So this came out 2 days ago. Now, it says a number of Hollywood stars, including Jamie Foxx, Bill Cosby, Cuba Gooding Jr., were all accused of sexual abuse last week as a sexual assault survivors filed lawsuits before the New York Adult Survivors Act officially expired.
I have to pop out real quick, JB, and come back in. Eric said my mic isn't. I'll be right back.
Okay. It says Fox allegedly sexually assaulted Jane Doe in 2015 at Catch NYC restaurant in a claim filed in a New York court on Wednesday. In documents obtained by Fox News, Doe, the plaintiff, claimed the Academy Award winner was, quote unquote, intoxicated when he grabbed by her arm and proceeded to assault her in the back area of a rooftop lounge. I'm sorry, what was that, Sabs?
I was just going to say, number one, just because he's intoxicated, like intoxication is not an excuse, just in case, he tries to use that as an excuse, but go ahead.
Of course. It says the complaint stated that Doe and a friend were seated in a one table away from the Ray actor who was having drinks with restaurateur Mark Birnbaum. Doe recalls crowds of patrons gathering and being ushered away from the table throughout the evening, but she and her friend were never asked to move tables. Axl Rose looks horrible. My God.
He looks bad. That's drugs will do that to you, JB.
Ugh. Gosh. He looks like ice cream as a monster. Anyway, so after Doe and her friend asked for photos with Fox, the complaint alleged that Fox proceeded to grab plaintiff by her arm and pulled her to the back area of the rooftop, end quote. Once more, secluded area, Doe claimed Fox placed both of his hands on her waist before moving them up her crop top where he began to, and I will let y'all read that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because this is YouTube. This is a family show. Okay, let's go. It says the suit alleged plaintiff was caught off guard and attempted to step away from Fox. Plaintiff noticed defendant John Doe, a security guard of one of the defendants some distance away who saw what was happening but walked further away. According to the suit, Foxx then allegedly proceeded to slide his hands into the plaintiff's pants. Now, sorry, go ahead, Sabs. You want to say something?
So I just want to add, please note that part there, guys, because that's the important piece about this particular situation with Jamie Foxx. The fact that there were people who saw. So there were witnesses in reference to this particular, allegation. So that's important for people to really understand, because the thing is, they can always go to those people and ask them, hey, such and such, you were there. And I also would not be surprised if there were security cameras placed on the top of that roof deck, because I've been to lounges before that have roof decks, and there are security cameras usually on the roof deck. So if there's security cameras, even the cameras may have caught that. So this happened in public. This did not happen in a private room where there were no other people around. There were witnesses. There were people who walked by and saw. So just keep that in mind.
Oh, great point, Sabs. So it says the alleged, this is Fox's representative. He said the alleged incident never happened. In 2020, the individual filed a nearly identical lawsuit in Brooklyn. That case was dismissed shortly after. The claims are no more viable today than they were then. We are confident that they will be dismissed again. And once they are, Mr. Foxx intends to pursue claim for malicious prosecution against this person and her attorneys for refiling this frivolous action. That says something to me, though, Sabs. The fact that she filed it once, it got dismissed, but then she filed it again. Because my thing is, if you know that they dismissed it, but then you can refile again, it's like, if you're just out for money, you would have just given up by then, because you don't want to go through those fees and court costs.
Right. That's right. But she filed it again.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying. I'm just looking at it from this perspective. This I find interesting too. It says, joining the slew of celebrities named in the explosive suits in New York City is New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who vehemently denies the allegation. So even Eric Adams was accused.
Right. And the reason why all these allegations are coming out all at once right now is because of that new law in New York. The deadline is, I believe, at the end of December. There's a deadline in December that for adult survivors, you can still file for sexual assault. So that's why there's so many of them coming out quickly. So I just, again, none of this surprises me. Again, I know we're going to get to Diddy, but the Jamie Foxx one, the thing that is really telling is the fact that this happened in public. There were witnesses, and I would not be surprised if there weren't security cameras on that rooftop. And if there were security cameras, then that could basically just settle all of this.
Now, just as a correction, that law actually expired last week. So
okay.
Yeah, it was last week, and that's why everybody was rushing to submit their lawsuits by the deadline. So this is when we had the influx of all these different famous, A-list stars that are just now, oh my God, I can't, they're like, oh my God, they caught off guard because now they're being accused by this law, which this law actually allows you to do a civil case beyond the statutes of limitations typically. So because of that, now they're putting out these lawsuits and saying, well, this person did this to me this many years ago, and it's, for some, it could be money. For some, it could be just putting the information out there. For some, it could be both. Two things can be true at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is that, are these things credible? Are they not? Well, that's for a court or a jury to decide. Or if the person wants to settle, then they settle. But then that also makes them look some kind of way.
Right.
So that's what the allegations against Jamie Foxx are. Now we get to Diddy. So I think you covered this on your channel, right?
The Cassidy incident, yes, but I didn't get to cover what happened after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with Cassie, a lot of people were asking about the allegations, and I'm going to go just quickly over the allegations to what Diddy allegedly did that she is claiming that he did. And also I want to go over, and what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go towards the end of this video, and I'm going to share why somebody like her would wait this long. So a lot of people are like, well, why did she wait 10 years? Why did she do this? I think she's just doing it for money because she went straight to civil court. She didn't go to criminal court, blah, blah, blah. Let's do that. Get that out of the way, and then we can go over to the allegations. So let me share my screen really quick. And let's get into it. Boy, oh boy. It is not looking good. And I love her content. She is so fire. Let's see, 16, 17. So
Wine and chill. She's a lawyer.
Yep. Let me see. Let's go. Boom. All right. So let me expand. Oh my God. I placed the wrong time to have her pause. Okay. Let's go.
And typically, I want to focus on why 99% of cases settle in the first place. I'm talking about any type of case. In a case of this nature,
First of all, she said 99% of cases settle.
Yes. Yes.
So when people go, why do they settle? Well, 99% of cases, it settles. So let's just clear that air right there. So yeah, let's continue.
It makes sense. Because trial is extremely unkind, and that's putting it nicely, to victims of abuse. So often they will bring up character evidence, which they're not supposed to in certain states bring up character evidence about the character of the victim. They will bring that up just to mess with the victim, to get to taunt the victim. And with a case of this nature, she put everything out there. This is the humiliation I've faced. This is what I've been forced to do. Forcing her into a trial would be inhumane, to be honest. So this is something that a Hollywood Reporter, Cassie reportedly added in a statement. I have decided to resolve this matter amicably on terms that I have some level of control. I want to thank my family, fans, and lawyers for their unwavering support. And I think the most important part of this is I want to resolve this matter in terms that I have some level of control. This is a woman who unfortunately has been put through the worst amount of abuse for 10 years with no control over any of her life. This is very similar, and somebody said that in the comments as well, to a conservatorship. One and the same. You have somebody forcing people to drive you to and from the hospital, allegedly, when you are getting battered and bruised. You have people looking at your health records, your MRI, because now you have memory loss because you have been plied with drugs from the time you were 20 years old. You have people buying you a home to lock you in said home, to lock you in hotel rooms. That is kidnapping. There's no control over that, over yourself. There are allegations in the complaint that stated even she lost multiple friends that tried to stick up for her and were like, hey, stop that, to which some of her friends have been allegedly assaulted. And that then deteriorated the friendship. So she didn't have anybody. So I definitely understand wanting to be like, hey, I want to settle this on my terms. Because a lot of times most victims want to be heard. This is in the public record. She has been heard. It will never go away. It is always going to be in the public record that she made all these allegations. And she made these allegations so specifically because most likely she has the evidence to back them up. The screenshots, the voicemails, the text messages, the physical evidence, the doctor's visits, the amount of time she's had to go to the doctor. So I think that makes a lot of sense. There are so many people who have witnessed things who would likely have been paraded into the court to be like, yeah, of course he did that. And simultaneously, the toll it would have taken on somebody who has been subjected to this level of abuse and violence for a decade, probably would have led to some sort of breakdown. So Douglas Wigor, a lawyer for Cassie, proceeded to respond in a statement saying, Mr. Combs offered Miss Ventura 8 figures to silence her and prevent the filing of the lawsuit. She rejected his efforts and decided to give a voice to all women who suffer in silence.
First of all, I want to ask, because a lot of people are like, well, you know, she just wanted money from Diddy. Well, why didn't she take the 8 figures?
Right.
Because that's $10+ million.
Right.
So why didn't she take it?
Right. If it was just about the money.
If it was just about the money, then she could have just said, all right, I'll shut up. And he could have probably had her sign an NDA and it would have been over. But he didn't. Well, she didn't accept it. So if she didn't accept it, that means that she wanted it to be more legit, put it into the court system, into the penal system, into the law, you know. So not into the law, but into the record legally.
Mm-hmm.
So because she could have actually just went onto Instagram Live. She could have went on a TikTok. She could have put this out anywhere else, and just for the court of public opinion. But no, she went to the actual authorities.
Right. There's more too. I think people have to understand that the entertainment industry can be very vicious. The music industry in particular, a lot of times when they sign these girls are relatively young. Cassie was 19 years old when she met Diddy, and yes, legally an adult, but just think about like what you were doing when you were 19, right? So I'm thinking about like my mindset when I was 19 years old, right? So a lot of times they find these girls, they sign them, they're very young, inexperienced, right? They don't know a lot about the world just yet. And there's more. It's not just Cassie. That's the thing people have to understand. Kesha, actually, you know, she came forward and said that she was drugged and abused by her producer, I believe, if I remember correctly, in the music industry. There was also another woman. I'm trying to see if I can find her on YouTube. She came out about this I want to say a couple years ago. There was a woman who was signed actually to a label. She's not performing anymore, but she actually did a couple of interviews. I think one with Vlad TV, where she actually revealed all these rappers and producers in the music industry that she said she saw sexually abuse women. And she said that one of the women that was abused was Mary J. Blige. And that's sad because Mary J. Blige was abused when she was a child, you know? So it's like, but she told a lot of information. I'll see if I can pull it.
So going to finish this off and then we can get to some of the accusations. I have to be very, very careful because some of the accusations are pretty graphic, but.
And I know people will push back and say, well, then why settle? Because of the fact that she even put this out there, she has stated like, hey, this happened to me. I'm having the courage to say this out loud, to air out all the things that have happened to me that I've had to live through now for all of these years. She has given a voice to other victims. She should not have to be paraded in court for everyone else. If you want to put yourself through trial, more power to you. But here you have somebody who named the thing, who called out the executives specifically by name, said so-and-so called me and threatened me. So-and-so did this. So-and-so saw this. All of these companies, all these assistants have been abused. All of these security guards. The security guards now are complicit. They didn't even want to do this to me. All of this abuse is taking forward. So I don't think it's particularly fair for other people to be like, well, you should have went to trial. Were you going to sit there and hold her hand throughout the whole trial? Were you going to sit there and pay for the extra therapy to make sure a mental breakdown is not going to occur when she has to sit there and look in the face of her abuser?
So that's pretty much the reason why she decided to settle. Because people don't realize going through a trial is a huge ordeal.
Yep. It can take years too. It can take a long time.
Yep. definitely. And then on top of that, the court costs and stuff, man, it's a lot.
Yep.
All right, so here's some of the allegations.
To get to the beginning of the lawsuit in a second, but I thought it would be better to kind of set up how could this have occurred for 10 years without anybody saying anything, and the level of coercion that.
So I'm just going to read this just to go through it quickly. It says, defendant Sean Combs, upon information and belief, resides within the state of California. At all relevant times herein, Mr. Combs met the definition of employer to plaintiff under all relevant statutes. Defendant Bad Boy Entertainment is a music media entertainment company founded by defendant Sean Combs, which includes the record label Defendant Bad Boy Records LLC. At all relevant times, defendant was an employer to plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. Defendant Bad Boy LLC is a Delaware limited company. Of course, it's in Delaware. Limited liability company with a principal place of business located in New York, New York. At all relevant times, defendant was an employer of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. Defendant Epic Records. So basically, she talks about how Cassie is actually a employee of Sean Combs.
Right.
And one of the things that I wanted to bring out was she actually talked about how he was in a 10-year deal. She was signed, to a 10-album deal.
Right.
So a 10-album deal, that's massive. Like, most people do not even do 10 albums. And the fact that she was signed to a 10-album deal at 19 years old.
Yeah, I mean, she was talented, just like a lot of other people that Diddy signed that you just don't hear from anymore, right? Like whatever happened to what's the name of the girl group that came from making the band, Danny DeCane? They were tremendously talented.
Yeah,
everything that Diddy touches, it just does not have longevity. Like these people's careers, they come out, they have a couple of hits, and then they just disappear.
Yeah. And there was I'm going to get into some more of the allegations in a second, but somebody brought out this interesting factoid. They said that, isn't it interesting how, you remember a few months back when Diddy decided to give the rights, the album rights, the masters back to all the artists that were part of Bad Boy?
Yep.
As long as they signed an NDA. That happened a few months back.
Yep.
So, did Diddy know something was afoot? And why sign an NDA?
Well, I have that video ready whenever you're ready, because her name is Jaguar Wright, and she was a singer. Yes, thank you, Roger. I just found it. Jaguar Wright. She was a singer, and she was another one who kind of disappeared musically, but she has been doing numerous interviews revealing some of the things that she saw in the entertainment, more so the music business, in reference to sexual abuse. And this is, a lot of people, I think in the beginning, the first time she tried to do this, they wanted to write her off. But the thing I noticed about her is that her claims are too detailed, in my opinion, to have made all this up.
Go ahead and give it a play, because I think that's interesting.
Let me pop it up here. Her name is Jaguar Wright, and I'll go ahead and let me share, because I want people to see this, because she just recently did another interview. This one is from, it says 13 days ago, and it says urgent message to Cassie and all of Diddy's victims. I also want people to know that Wendy Williams also said something that she said, oh, so people finally know. So I don't think, I don't think this is something that was a secret in the music industry. But listen to what she says here.
Advocate for you. Because see, I know something that a lot of people don't know. I know that you and Kim Porter had a sit down right before she left us.
Tell him, please, tell him.
And I know Kim had some very good advice to give you. And I believe that this is why things are happening as they're happening now. Kim was smart, wasn't she, Cassie? Kept you alive and kept you safe. I will advocate for you. I went to shits. Fuck Honeycomb. But you are a victim. And I know that.
Let me just pause and explain to people who Kim Porter is. Kim Porter was Diddy's ex-girlfriend. They had, I think, 2 kids. They had a set of twins together. They had twins together. She was formerly with Albie Shore, so she had a son with Albie Shore as well before she was with Diddy. But she wanted to marry Diddy, and Diddy said no. He said that he loved her immensely, but he could never marry someone, right? So she died. I believe you'll have to correct me, JB. I think she had pneumonia.
I don't remember.
Yeah, she died. It kind of just came out of nowhere, but I'll go ahead and continue.
Yeah.
Congratulations on surviving and congratulations on standing up. I'll advocate for you. Fuck that pussy and his little fucking dog.
Now you want to know what's crazy, Jaguar?
What?
I was, and I can just say it now because I'm not gonna do it. So why not just talk about it now? I had an offer to go over there to Revolt.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yep, I had an offer.
This is another one that's coming up now too, that now that this information is coming out about Diddy, about Bad Boy, they're also bringing up Revolt. I don't know if everyone's familiar with Revolt, with that entertainment company, but a lot of this is connected.
They've been
Let me pull this over here. Sorry. Here it is.
and that just sounded crazy to me. That just like you can have me in the room with him tomorrow. Like what? Excuse me?
Like it's the grandest honor on earth.
You didn't say we could have a meeting to talk about XYZ. You didn't say we could. You didn't say nothing about business. You said, "Oh, I can have you in the room with him tomorrow."
So they're talking about Puff Daddy, about having that guy in the room with Puff Daddy the next day. And I think another thing that people have to know too, because like I said, it's not just Cassie. There have been more victims that have come forward recently about Diddy. One of them actually said that Diddy and Aaron Hall, who I don't know if everyone's familiar with him, but also another former singer, also was a producer. She said that both of them assaulted her.
All right. So let's get back to some of the allegations.
Defendant Bad Boy Entertainment is a music, media, and entertainment company founded by defendant Sean Combs, which includes the record label Defendant Bad Boy Records, LLC. At all times, defendant was an employer of plaintiff within the meaning of applicable statutes. And this is very important because I think it's not well known the length of her record deal and how this entire time she was in a coercive employer-employee forced relationship as well. Within months of her single coming out, Miss Ventura signed a 10-album deal with Mr. Combs' record label. Miss Ventura's first album, Cassie, was released in August 2006, debuting Combs' abuse. Anytime she tried to create distance between her and Mr. Combs, he used his network to find her and convince her to return to his abuse. On multiple occasions, Mr. Combs sent employees to lure Ms. Ventura back. Employees that are employed in various capacities at the record label, at the overarching Combs LLC, the parent corporations, were allegedly sent to tell Cassie, like, oh, hey, you know what? You should just go home. Everything is fine. Just, it's going to get better. Go home, which is disgusting. After this specific incident, Miss Ventura left her home in Comstock and went to hide away at a friend's home in Florida. James Cruz, president of Bad Boy Management, tracked Miss Ventura down and told her that her single would not be released if she did not answer Combs' phone calls.
So this is part of what's going on, is just that he was basically, threatening her with basically not making money if she didn't answer his calls and come back to him despite the abuse that was happening.
And there's another one I think people need to research as well is Drew Dixon. Drew Dixon actually came forward about sexual assault allegations against Russell Simmons. Now, and I heard he's another one that I had heard rumors about as well, that he also had assaulted women. But she basically kind of lost everything after she came forward about the allegations about Russell Simmons. She's on Twitter. You can look her up, but she's done a couple of interviews about it. But she said the reason why she didn't come forward right away was because she was afraid that she was going to lose, her career and everything. And this is what they'll do.
Mm-hmm. So let me continue this. All right. So
the truth, however, is that Cassie, Miss Cassandra Ventura, was held down by Mr. Combs and endured over a decade of his violent behavior and disturbed demands. For Miss Ventura, the dark times were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. Among other violent and unlawful acts, Mr. Combs, and again, these are allegations from a legal sense. However, an allegation that has receipts, well documented. The allegations read: Mrs. Ventura in her own home after she tried to leave him, often punched, beat, kicked, and stomped on Miss Ventura, resulting in bruises, burst lip, black eyes, and bleeding. Blew up a man's car after he learned that he was romantically interested in Miss Ventura. That person in question's car was Kid Cudi. Kid
Cudi.
Yeah. He's the one that can come forward to admit these things. So again, this is another person that has someone that can confirm some of these things, but then they settled very quickly. Like once the story was out, like they settled within the next couple of days.
24 hours.
Yep. And I'd be curious to hear what Kid Cudi has to say.
Yeah, me too.
Cudi has since confirmed that yes, that is true, that his car was blown up in his driveway. Forced Miss Ventura to engage in sex acts with male sex workers while masturbating and filming the encounters, and introduced Miss Ventura to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse, and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addiction.
Yep. See, this is why they get these girls when they're really young. Like, think about especially for those of you that went to undergrad, think about what you were doing in undergrad, when you're 19, 20 years old, right? Like you don't have a lot of guidance so much. Like you're a little bit more trusting, I think, than you are as you get older. But this is why they get these girls so young. Russell Simmons met Kimora Lee when she was 17 years old.
Yeah. She started her modeling career as a teenager.
Yes. He was looking at her then. He was already looking at her. What do you know at 17 years old?
And two of these that she didn't read in this video, she said, allegedly, he ran out of his apartment with a firearm in pursuit of a rival industry executive whom he learned was nearby, and then demanded that Miss Ventura carry his firearm in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is.
He also asked the hotel, one of these incidents that happened at a hotel in Los Angeles, he also asked the hotel management to pull the security footage and give it to him. He also had her medical records. He got the doctors to give him her medical records. Guys, when have you ever known doctors to do that?
That's a HIPAA violation.
Yep.
Like, how am I going to give my medical records to my boss?
Yep.
Crazy. So those are just some of the allegations. I didn't even go through all of the allegations, but there's a lot there. So I'll put the link to the video in the chat so you guys can go over it. It's
And
not that long of a video. It's only about 20 minutes.
I have the one about the third accuser.
Okay, because I got a news article pulled up as well. But yeah, go ahead with the video.
Oh, it's just an article. So if you have an article, go ahead.
Okay.
You might have the same one.
Let me share this. Oh gosh. Get out of my face. Ads. Okay. So it says Sean Diddy Combs accused of sexual abuse by 2 more women. This came out 3 hours ago, Sabs.
Oh, okay. I did not see this one.
Yep.
Oh, no, it says November 24th.
Yeah. Well, it says updated at 12:48 p.m.
November 24th, right? Oh no, okay, I got you. They updated it. Never mind.
It says 2 more women have came forward to accuse Sean Diddy Combs of sexual abuse 1 week after the music mogul settled a separate lawsuit with the singer Cassie that contained allegations of sexual assault and physical abuse. I have to be very careful with my language. I'm sorry. Both of these new suits were filed Thursday on the eve of the expiration of the Adult Survivors Act. In New York law permitting victims of sexual abuse a 1-year window to file civil action regardless of the statute of limitations. The filings detail acts of sexual assault, beatings, and forced drugging allegedly committed in the early 1990s by Combs, the then talent director, party promoter, and rising figure in New York City's hip-hop community. One of the accusers, Joy Dickerson, says she was a 19-year-old student at Syracuse University when she agreed to meet Combs at a restaurant in Harlem in 1991.
Yep.
After their date, Combs initially drugged her, then brought her home and sexually assaulted her, according to the filing. Without her knowledge, Combs videotaped the assault and later shared it with several friends in the music industry, the suit alleges. The public exposure sent Dickerson into a tailspin, contributing to severe depression that landed her in a hospital and forced her to drop out of college. So in a separate lawsuit filed Thursday, an unnamed woman accused Combs and R&B singer Aaron Hall of sexually assaulting her and a friend, then beating her several days later.
Yep.
Says the woman, identified as Jane Doe, said that she and her roommate returned to Hall's home with him and Combs after the music industry event in 1990 or 91. The accuser says she was coerced into having sex with Combs. Afterwards, she was getting dressed. Hall barged into the room, pinned her down, and forced Jane Doe to have sex with him. When the victim later spoke to her friend, who was also not named, she learned that her friend had been forced to have sex with Combs and Hall in another room. According to the suit, upon information and belief, when Combs finished with Jane Doe, he and Hall switched and they commenced assaulting Jane Doe's friend.
Yep.
Oh, this is a lot, man.
And if people remember the woman who was one of the video dancers? She wrote the book called Superhead. You remember that woman?
No, I don't.
Oh my God, Jaybe. Okay, so a couple years ago, there was, let me see. Let me pull up her name. There was a woman, Corinne Steffens. She wrote a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Called Superhead. And it was about her experience in the music business as a dancer. So she was one of the women that you've seen in a lot of these rap dance videos, whether it's LL Cool J, Diddy, etc. But in that book, she revealed a lot of things about how some of these artists were treating women. Now, here's the thing. When she went on the talk shows to talk about this, they were willing to dismiss her. And I think the reason why they were dismissing what she said is because she admitted also in the book that she was promiscuous, right? So she also admitted that she was assaulted when she was a teenager. So they just kind of like when Oprah had her on, I know Oprah had her on and Pink at the same time. And Oprah was just very negative towards Corinne Steffens. I'll never forget that, the way that she treated Corinne versus the way that she treated Pink. But if people would have just listened to what Corinne Steffens was saying back then in the book, and there's videos about this on YouTube as well, this would not be a shock to people. but they dismissed it. They did not consider her to be credible because she was promiscuous, but she tried to tell people how a lot of these rappers in the entertainment industry, the music business, how they were and what they were doing to women back then.
I'll put it this way. I don't care if you're a hoe. Sexual assault is still sexual assault.
Exactly.
Because the thing is that just because you're promiscuous doesn't mean that sexual assault is still okay. You know what I'm saying? So when people go, oh, but she was promiscuous and all this stuff, I don't care if she's rubbing against you. If you don't got the consent, bro, you ain't got consent. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy, bro. Like, it's like so stupid. Like, how you gonna, even if she was, so what?
But the thing is, we've seen this even happen in front of our face about how they prey on certain women. So like, for example, we all know that R. Kelly married Aaliyah when she was 15 years old.
Yeah.
Like, and other people in the business, other people that were close to R. Kelly, like they saw this right in front of them. They're even the guy who covered up for them, the one that actually helped them forge the age for the document. Like, even he admitted it, like in the documentary, like, yeah, I did this, I shouldn't have done that or whatever. So the problem is there are people around them in the music business that enable the behavior and see these things happening, and they don't stand up and say anything about it. That's why it continues. A lot of these girls were really young. Even if you look at TLC, you go back to Chili, and Chili came forward years later and said that, she had an abortion and she was pregnant by Dallas Austin, who's a producer, right? So he was producing TLC's record at that point in time. And you think about how young they were. Those women, like TLC, it's not like they were 26, 27 years old. They were very young, very young. So again, like I said, they get these girls when they're really young, and some of them groom them. And so if this is all you know, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah. It's sad, sad all around, because, you have trust in people who are older, Oh boy. So let me go back to the article and let me just read this last part, and then we can get to your video that you have queued up. So it said, suit bought by Dickinson notes that the victim filed police reports in New York and New Jersey after the abuse. Inquiries into the New York City Police Department were not immediately returned. It was not clear which other jurisdictions their reports may have been filed. After the film Assault, Dickinson says she approached friends from the music industry asking them to confirm the existence of the revenge porn tape, but was rebuffed by those who were terrified that Combs would retaliate against them and that they would lose future business and music opportunities. So there's the job aspect of it, the class aspect of it. So unfortunately, yeah. So also, when it comes to police, they also drop the ball, especially when it comes to super famous people who are accused. So yeah. So Sabs, you have the video queued up as well?
Well, I wanted to show, I'm not going to be able to play it because it's the real, I think it's going to be copyright. But even one of the women, I'll just show the screenshot of it. Even one of the women that is one of the co-hosts from the show, The Real. So The Real, for those who don't know, is supposed to be like a younger version of The View. A little bit more edgier than The View. But Adrienne Ballone. So Adrienne Ballone was a part of a girl group called, was that 3LW? Wasn't she part of 3LW?
3LW, yeah.
Yeah. So Adrienne Ballone talked about this on The View. It says Adrienne Ballone recalls experiencing sexual harassment in the music industry. Again, you got to remember, she was a teenager at that time. These girls were really young. And she talked about this 7 years ago. 7 years ago. So I think it's one of those things too, because if they know that you really want to make it big, you want a record deal, they prey on that and they use that like to their advantage. And I think these issues with Diddy one of the things that Cassie also said is that Diddy was doing trafficking. So this makes you wonder, if he was doing that to Cassie, basically pimping her out, who else has he done that to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I also saw there was another article about how I think there was allegations brought out against Steven Tyler as well.
Yep.
So Steven Tyler as well. I'm sorry. Yeah, that article is from 6 days ago. I'm sorry. This one's from 3 hours ago. This is a Yahoo article. It says Jamie Foxx and Steven Tyler among famous men sued for sexual assault under New York's Adult Survivors Act. Legal experts explain what happens next. So now Steven Tyler as well as now. So Terry Richardson, I'm trying to figure out. Wait, who's Terry Richardson? Terry Richardson. Oh, he's a photographer. Okay. And then what's his name? Oh my gosh, this is this guy's name. It says Jimmy Ovine. I don't know who that is. Wait. Jimmy Ovine. I don't know who that is. He's supposed to be a music mogul. Or Iovine, something like that. But anyways, but yeah, there's a lot of people who are being accused right now.
Well, it says that Steven Tyler was 27 years old when he started dating 16-year-old Julia Holcomb. Then he adopted her.
If you can adopt somebody that you're dating, then they're too young for you. Yeah. So it's a lot, man. You know, it's just a lot.
But this kind of stuff has been happening for a long time, and like the people who are around them don't say anything. I mean, if more people in the music industry would have spoken out about R. Kelly and Aaliyah, and they were married, she was 15 years old, you know, maybe that could have prevented the other victims that R. Kelly had later on down the line.
Yeah. Because some people did some stuff. I'm sorry, I was reading something else. But some people, you know, have allegations that just never come out. There are probably some dudes that have allegations that they'll probably never say because they don't want to be embarrassed because, well, you know, if you're a guy and you experience sexual assault, especially from another guy, then you're going to be clowned online in a court of public opinion. So,
like Terry Crews.
Yeah, Terry Crews is one of them.
And Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser. It's horrible. So I'm just trying to get to some of the chat really quick. All right, so let me go to the chat really quick. So this is interesting. Smoke a Guitar says, Diddy, who cares except for the corruption in entertainment generally with the police, not a big help, but guards letting them do it. Security guards, you mean? Smoke a Guitar also continues, says, since I was 12, I had inappropriate relationships with adults in entertainment.
See, you guys hearing this? And I'm sorry to hear that, Smoke a Guitar, but that is very... Parents, you cannot let your kids like be alone with these people. Like it's very, very toxic. It's very scary.
Yeah. I mean, there was, you know, people who talked about like somebody talked about how Usher was under Diddy's guardianship when he was 13.
Yeah, Usher talked about it.
Yeah, Usher talked about it on my God, Shock Radio host Howard Stern. He talked about it on Howard Stern. Howard Stern asked him if he would allow his kid to hang out with Diddy like he did, and basically Usher said, "Hell no, no."
Yep.
And then, of course, there's this famous video where Diddy has Justin Bieber for 4 days.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, that was people consider that very creepy. FYE Repo says, shit, Jamie Foxx too. Damn it. I don't listen to regular news, so I had no clue. Glad I had my subscriber belt on. Yeah, thank you so very much. Dana Thomas Capello says, I used to hang with a woman who was part of the New York hip hop scene in the late 80s, and she told me that Diddy overbooked the concert long ago. I think was at John Hay and caused a stampede there. Oh my gosh. Yikes. Oh my goodness.
And he's very powerful. I mean, it's not like, you know, Diddy's just a producer or a musician. Like Diddy, he's someone in the industry that is very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Jacqueline Hemmings asked the question, if he's guilty, where was Diddy's entourage while all this was going on?
See, that's the other thing about the people who were around. And I mean, would a jury see them as, you know, complicit as well if they were there?
Yeah, kind of like
Diddy has
co-conspirator.
bodyguard, right?
Yeah.
So was the bodyguard present when these things happened?
My question is, what does Farnsworth Bentley know?
Notice you don't hear about him anymore.
Nope. Jamer for Life allegedly says Diddy groomed Justin and some others. Justin Timberlake?
I think he's probably talking about Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber. There's so many Justins out there. So let me see who else. Adventures in the Free World says, regardless whether anyone believes a specific individual, Diddy has been shady for decades, especially where Pac is concerned. I'm glad he's going down. Ooh, old Pac thing. Yeah, he seems to get off free and clear every single time too. That's another thing.
That's what we always said, right? Like you were there, you know, you were there the first time Pac was shot, but your hands were clean. You were in the same building. You were up in the studio. That's why Pac thought that Biggie and Puff actually had those guys come after him, because he was just coming down from the studio, hanging out with them. You were also present when Biggie is shot, but your hands are clean. Like how does this always happen? So I just always thought that was weird.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see what's going to be revealed, like if this does go to court, the other accusers, because I would not be surprised, and this is just a guess I have, I would not be surprised if Diddy was involved in some type of trafficking situation. Would not be surprised.
Yeah, but I got some thoughts about that too. But let me read this one. It says Luz therein says the temporary waiver of statute of limitations sounds grossly illegal. I expect any convictions under these circumstances to be overturned on appeal. I mean, it was a law that was created, so that was the thing.
To go after Trump, basically. It was created to go after Donald Trump. Yeah.
But the crazy part is, my question though is, and to answer what you said about just earlier, there's also a lot of these new cases that are coming out about a whole bunch of men, well, people I should say, that were accused of sexual assault of minors or pedophilia, who instead of going to prison in the United States, they left, and they were Jewish, and so they went to Israel to reside in Israel. And now they are free and clear in Israel because I guess Israel won't extradite them. And so now there's a bunch of them that are residing in Israel. There's actually a few news reports about them. And so somebody asked the question of, what do some of the people like Netanyahu have on some of these very higher up people, especially billionaires and political people?
Oh.
Allegedly.
And Epstein too.
Because they were all involved in Mossad. And Ghislaine Maxwell's father was involved with Mossad. And she was involved in some close links to U.S. intelligence. So
there you go.
There's a lot of connections. So as far as Bryce says Mossad. Yep, this goes all the way to the top. So it's about time for us to go. Stabs, what you got going on tonight?
I got 5 news stories tonight. I have an interesting one about Cory Booker that someone sent to me that I had never seen before. Something that was revealed or something that he did a couple of years ago, but is now making its way around on social media because of everything that's happening with Israel and Gaza and AIPAC. So that should be a pretty interesting story.
All right. Well, look, stay tuned for that. Also, this Tuesday, I'm going to be on with Right Brain Studios, Kevin Ronka. We're going to be talking about some things. We're going to be talking about some things regarding Israel, Palestine, and Netanyahu. And he has some damning video that he's going to be sharing with me on my channel. So be sure to tune in. It's going to be a doozy. Also, if you guys have not already, you guys can also donate to our Venmo and Cash App for our graphics designer, Aaron. You guys can go to Revolutionary Blackout on Venmo or $ Mutual Aid Forever. Also, just to let you guys know, I'm also raising money for our Orlando Mutual Aid. So if you guys can go to $ Orlando RBN on our Cash App to donate to that. We're still raising money for that. So thank you so very much. Sabs, we are out. Take care. Have a good one. Mwah! Everybody, love you. Take care. Stay away from Diddy. Stay away from Steven Tyler. Stay away from Bill Cosby. Pulling pop. Oh. Let me stop.
Oh boy.